What is going on, everybody? Still a little sick. Got a nice crease in my beard because I've been doing some airbrushing. But just want to do a little update on Oleander here. Hopefully you can see her pretty good. Try to move her slow. This is using only my new brush so far. Mostly just base coating and working on some blending in the capes. The color scheme we're going for is a kind of Halloween black and orange. It's actually a dark blue and orange for them. I'm still working on getting the blend and how dirty brown to like clean orange I want it. Her, I'm doing it a little different with a lot of glazes because she's going to be more of a centerpiece. But I'm also going to continue these vines on her cape. So she has like these vines twisting around her, and then I'm gonna do the vines like a couple twisting around this red cape. I think the red looks really cool. I wanted to do it all red, but my buddy who I'm painting it for, he still wanted to keep the orange and black. I don't know if he wanted it this full orange and black, but hopefully with the freehand you'll have the orange and blue plus the green and red, two complementary colors kind of going on, and then we'll work on the base and stuff. But anyway, if you get this model, the Oleander model, make sure you probably paint some of these pieces separate, because built like this, it's pretty fragile, it's a little wobbly, it's hard getting underneath inside these kind of spiky cloak pieces. But all around, it's been super fun. It's a super cool lady model there. So this video's purpose is to update a bit on the Ghost brush that I will be launching on Kickstarter. So far, I've only used this one brush on the Oleander model. And I want to demonstrate to you something that I thought was pretty interesting. So I cleaned it very, very good, more than I would just normally, because I was seeing if I could get it back to pure white, which part of my deal of it having white bristles is I wanted to make sure people understand not to get paint, especially newer painters, or even, people have been painting a long time but never paid attention to it. Understand that you're not supposed to get paint into the ferrule, and having it white keeps that kind of obvious to you. If it remains white, you obviously are doing an okay job. And if you can tell near the ferrule on the one I used, it's still very white. And the tip is actually a little brown, but this has been through very, very red paint, dark blue paint, Draconoth Nightshade, Caribou Crimson, Agrax Earthshade, Fire Slayer Orange, very high pigmented staining colors. And the white nylon hairs, possibly made out of real ghost, I'm not sure on that, actually did maintain the white color pretty good. It is discolored, it looks used, but another thing I wanted to show after these initial tests is this one here has not been used, and it's very sharp and pointy, and this one has been used quite a bit, and it's still very sharp and pointy, and I thought that was great. As miniature painters, we tend to stab a lot. Like, there'll be like an arm and you're like stabbing into it up in like between a crease on a collar. You're like stabbing into the Space Marine collar. And that destroys brush tips. All synthetic brushes will be destroyed by that, including these over time. That's just a common thing miniature painters do that like a canvas painter would never do, because they're always pulling paint. Right, they're dragging it on the canvas, whereas we're swiping, we're sketching, we're stabbing, we're pushing, right? We're almost kind of like a sculpture-esque use of the tool. But so far, there's absolutely no curve I see at all on this brush. And actually, when they wet and dry, which I pretty excited about, that I was talking with the manufacturer on. And when they're dry, they I guess, like, they get kind of firm again. So that's pretty interesting. It's like, if you notice, it's not, my skin's so white, this is probably just blowing out everything, but it actually remains firm. Same when you get, right? So that's kind of nice. Holds its shape very well. Sorry, I'm like just a day or two over being sick, so my body's a little groggy. But it's holding a very good tip after all this use. And with her, I mean, I have done quite a bit of stabbing to really get the red in back, underneath here, and underneath here, in some of these kind of tight areas behind this, when you're painting kind of behind these little vines. It's very interesting that it's maintaining its point very well. I've had brushes that have absolutely lost their point immediately after one use, and so far this is going okay. After you break it up a bit, you can see you can fray it out, and then hopefully a little bit of water, pull. If you're like me, I point it with my mouth, but you can see it still goes back to a nice tip. So that is a good sign, and I'm very happy with that. And just a quick, I guess, to make this a little more valuable, and if you've stuck around this long on this update, always when you repoint your brush, it's always good to pull. Not yank, not tug, not like you're not grabbing the hairs and pulling it, but you're using your fingers softly, or your, like, the crease of your hand, right? You can do it like right there when you're that fold in your hand. You can put it there and pull. I do it here in the corner of my mouth, and you pull out that nice point, right? Now, a big mistake people make is they'll wet it, use their brush soap, and then they'll like twist. See, I'm spinning this. Can't really tell, but they'll spin the hairs, right? So they'll pinch it and then twirl it. I'm trying to demonstrate why. Anyway, they'll twirl it and pull, and that'll bring it to a nice point. But don't do that, ever. You're going to ruin your brushes much faster if you do that, because you don't want the outside hairs to barber pull around the center hairs. So I don't know how to demonstrate this, but so pretend this is the tip. You don't want this hair here to start here and curve, like orbit around up to the tip, because when it re-wets and the hairs, the nylon hairs, or even any synthetic really tackle on whatever, when it re-wets and the brushes are more flexible, those curled ones are going to uncurl, and they're going to be ones now on the outside that are doing wacky curves, right? Because they dried in this like corkscrew. It's like if you take a paper clip and wrap it around your pencil and then try to straighten it again. That's a good example. Take a wire, wrap it around like a jeweler's wire. Maybe you have some wire used for pinning models. Wrap it around your brush. Take the brush out. Now you got a corkscrew, and try to straighten that wire. You'll notice it's very difficult. And that's what happens when you twist your brush to reform your point. That's why it's more important to pull. You can give it like a little back and forth twist, but you do not want to grip and curl the hairs into a point. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, super happy about the update. I did get a little bit of paint on the handle, so it's not as pristine white. But so far so good. They're a nice weight. Like, they're not overly like cheap, and like this one here, It's basically one I just stab into the airbrush, but it's such a thin little stick, it feels very light. Whereas even my thinnest, smallest one has a little bit more weight to it. But, I mean, it's very light. It's not like titanium rods, but some of them feel like hollow. These are birch wood, so it just gives you that feel of a paintbrush that I think people enjoy. At least I know I enjoy. One of the few things I know is things I enjoy about painting and things like that. So make sure you subscribe. We'll be keeping you updated on everything about my brush line that I'm launching. We'll be keeping you updated on my Death Watch. I'm going to try to bring 50 power level to this tournament in 2 weeks. I think I have enough Death Watch if I just finish a couple things. I think I can bring them to the event. If not, I still got my AdMech, so I'm safe regardless, but I'm kind of going to go for it. And one way to do that is possibly finishing this bad boy, which would be the Death Watch repulsor. And he's very expensive in points, but he's 16 power level, and that's pretty cool because he has a ton of weapons. 16 power level. He's toughness 8. He's a flying land raider. Unfortunately, I think he has a 3-up armor save. I thought for sure he'd have a 2-up armor save, but that's not what this video is about. But anyway, please subscribe. We're doing Death Watch. We're doing AdMech. We got Thousand Suns. We got all kinds of Age of Sigmar stuff, even though we haven't been playing it as much. Tons and tons of painting. We got brushes on the way. I got an eBay store where I auction most of my extra stuff. Right now I'm putting up a lot of very, very nice oil paints, Old Holland oil paints, like the oldest paint manufacturer in the world. Classic oil paints, very nice, never used. Some of them are very expensive, but I've noticed as I've gone more and more into miniature painting, I don't see myself needing to hoard so much fine art supplies for oil painting on canvas, so I'm going to get rid of some of my stockpile on that to help fund my initial launch of my brushes. That way I have a backup plan if when Kickstarter launches, if it's a flop, right? I'll still launch the brushes, hopefully, if I can make some extra money selling some old art supplies. So check out my eBay, and that's about all we got. Please subscribe. We're doing another giveaway at 500. We gave away the Orc last time, so we still got the Necron. We still got the Dark Eldar Lady. 500 though, might have to go a little bigger, right? That's halfway to 1,000. Talk to you soon.